of your favorite program, Sport Beat, right here on SuperScreen Television, where we serve you the latest gist and happening in the ever-exciting world of sport. We say it's your window to all sporting activities. My name is Olakunle Philip, and it gives me so much joy once again to come your way and, of course, take you around the ever-blazing world of sport. And so much to talk about on the show this afternoon. We'll be looking at the preparation of the Super Eagles. Just a couple of minutes ago, we were able to get across to the media officer of the Eagles, and he had updates to give us about as regards what is going on in the Super Eagles camp in Asaba. We'll also be talking about the Flying Eagles. They have a tournament to navigate. It's called the Waffle Under-20 Nations Tournament, and the team will have to navigate their way against some West African teams. We'll have to talk about how they feel. We feel the team will actually progress in as far as the tournament is concerned. We'll also dash to the NBA, where we'll look at the games that went down in week 4 of the NBA. It was an interesting one, but there were no upsets because when I looked at the result, I think all the big teams really got the job done in their games. We'll also be looking at the ATP World Tour Finals ongoing in the United Kingdom. It's really good to know that an African player is really making the continent proud out there, getting another win, making it 2 wins in 2 games. I want to say it's really looking good for South African Kelvin Anderson. All this and more you get to enjoy on today's edition of Sport Beat. It's the Wednesday edition, and we're really glad once again to have you join us on the show. My name is Olakunle Philip, and I've got 2 exciting gentlemen on the show. Olamide Onwuka is capped for this edition. Good afternoon, Olamide.
Good afternoon, Kunle, and good afternoon, Dotun. And I want to say a very good afternoon to viewers out there. We're just glad to have you join us in Sports Beat. I'm glad to be here.
All right, glad to be here, Dotun.
Well, you know, that's how we say it here when it comes to sport, that we always come together to enjoy ourselves and disseminate information concerning the proceedings in the world of sports in general.
All right, we're going to be disseminating proceedings in the world of sport right here on SuperScreen Television. Sport Beat is the program, and of course you can also join us on Star Times channel 173. You can get to watch us live on Star Times. We'll start with the AFCON qualifier between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Bafana of South Africa. Preparation is actually underway, and if the news we are getting from Asaba is anything to go by, you want to agree with me that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will just get a win against this Bafana of South Africa. 22 players trained yesterday, and as we speak, all the players are already in camp, and there's going to be another training for today, Dotun. Good one, because we're talking about the fact that, you know, one player was actually not in the team yesterday, but he actually arrived the shores of the nation today, talking about the Bordeaux Samuel Kalu. And if feelers we are getting is anything to go by, then the Super Eagles of Nigeria stands a very good chance against South Africa.
Well, now talking about the chances of the Nigerian national team against the Bafana of South Africa, you will see that if you check out pedigree when it comes to football in Africa and in the world, you're going to give the Nigerian national team edge against other South African national team. But sometimes football actually comes to deny you that kind of expectation. If you can remember, like about 13 months or 17 months ago, they came to Nigeria. They acquired International Stadium. They got the better of Nigeria by 2-0. And going into this one, we actually have everything working for us because we've been churning out fantastic results in recent time. But if you look at it very well, we're actually going to South Africa to play against a coach that knows how to play against Nigeria. Though the South Africans, they don't have a very good record against the Nigerian national team. It's a big one for the Super Eagles because they need to do everything they know they can actually do to get the needed result, either a draw or a maximum 3 points, only to cement their place in the forthcoming African Cup of Nations. But I believe that the work is in top gear, and the guys are actually talking tough, and a whole lot of promises are actually on ground. I believe this is enough to motivate these guys to go to the field of play and get the needed results.
All right, Olamide, we've been missing some of our players. Talking about the likes of Francis Uzo and the Chinese guy talking about
the Chinese superstars.
Yeah,
Mikel and Galu.
Yeah, but his club has actually been relegated in the Chinese league to the lower division. But looking at these guys and the caliber of players, the 23 players we have in Eagles, don't you think we're going to have problems in that game?
Well, you know, let's look at the fact that the spirit of Nigeria will always be there. You can't take away the fact that whenever any team is facing any team, you're facing Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, that fear factor is always there. So regardless of the fact that you have Odion Igalo, you have the number one choice goalkeeper, Francis Uzo, who's out with a rib injury, you have Mikel Obi, and I think we'll miss them, yeah, but you know, Nigeria will always be Nigeria. And going up against South Africa that we have a better record against, you know that they feel they have a chance. Now, their life, I would have their destiny is in their hands. They're topping the group with a point, and they know if they can avoid a defeat against Stuart Baxter's side, that means just coming here, you're rest assured of a victory against Switzerland side, which you can definitely beat. So, I think Nigeria stands a chance regardless of the fact that players like Igalo and the top players will be missing. I'm giving them a good chance.
All right, let's look at the midfield right now. You know, at times when John Mikel Obi doesn't play, we tend to struggle. But in recent time, we've been playing and we've been turning out wins without him. But with the absence of Wilfred Ndidi, who has been an important member of that team.
Rock solid player at the middle of the park.
He has always been living up to billing. Don't you foresee any danger ahead as far as the midfield is concerned?
Well, if you look at the last game Nigeria played against Libya, there was a particular point in the game where Wilfred Ndidi got missing. He was lost in the midfield. And that was when Libya actually got their goals back. Okay. So you can say that, yes, he's been a very important player for his club and also for his country. But then we've not seen him replicate that optimal form that we see him put in, week out at Leicester, that has made him secure that starting berth in the club. So I would say, yeah, we'll miss his presence, his imposing presence in the midfield as the holding midfielder.
The energy, the power, the pace.
I still think we have players like John Ogu that can come in and replace him very well. So, yeah, we'll miss him, but I feel with or without Wilfred Ndidi, remember, he also has that tendencies of committing himself and picking up unnecessary cards, you know. But in Ogu, we'll have someone who has more balance, someone who can actually win the ball and give that midfield a balance to support the attack and distribute balls that could lead to creation of chances for the attackers. All
right, Dotun, I think if there's a team, if any of the team is going to win this game, talking about Nigeria and South Africa, it has to be done in the middle of the park. You know the way the South Africans play. They play fluid football, and then they attack, they play all around, and they try to dominate you in the midfield. What kind of pattern do you think Gernot Rohr should adopt? Do you think we should play 4-man midfield, or we should just play 4-man midfield? No, 3-man midfield and 3-man attack.
You know, there is something called continuity in life, and if you look at what we've been seeing ever since the German Francophone has been in charge of Nigeria, he has actually adopted a whole lot of tactics. Remember the 3-4-3 formation, remember the 4-2-1 from 4-2-1-3 formation, remember. So the last game we played against Libya, we saw what he actually brought to the table. He changed the dimension of the game. We're expecting that someone like Ogeyo Nazi will be part of the starting lineup, but it is not what we saw. We saw again a career table. We saw Wilfred Ndidi, and to actually make up the number at the middle of the park, we saw Alessi Iwobi, who actually did a human's job. And in that particular game, if you can remember, it was tagged Alessi Iwobi's magical game. But for what we saw in the last game, I could actually say to you that if you can adopt the 4-3-3 formation, in which he adopted it.
Actually, don't forget that you're playing against a team that has very, very fast-paced attackers.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at what happened the last time they came to Uyo and beat Nigeria 2-0, you look at the fact that they made use of Tike Laurentiis, the guy that got 2 goals against Nigeria. The guy was a problem for Leon Balogun all the way.
Yeah. Leon Balogun and he's not going to be there.
And Kenneth Omero. Now, he's not going to be there.
Yes.
Tike Laurentiis is not going to be there, but they have players that are one of the hottest properties in Europe. Players that are being sought after with electrifying pace.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a problem for Nigeria.
No, I'm not going to deny the fact that it's going to be a problem for Nigerian defense. But if you look at it very well, football is played at the middle of the park, which you can always confirm. But if you look at Nigeria, we have these imposing players at the middle of the park.
That's why you know we had problems. We had problems against Libya in the return leg because they added another player in the midfield and they outpowered.
But when it comes to South Africa and Nigeria, you cannot actually compare the energy, the power, and the pace of Nigerian guys.
I think it's very important, Dotun, that we
somebody like Ogenekare and John Ogu, you mentioned the other side, they have a whole lot to play in this particular game. The two of them, I believe in the strength of these two guys. They have the power and they have the energy. And they have the marking ability, and they can make use of the ball very well.
All right, I think we should leave that.
I just want to tell you something. Don't forget that we don't have the #1 choice goalkeeper at the back.
Oh, okay.
We can't take that away. I mean, you need cover for your goalkeeper. Do you want to have someone like Daniel Akpoyi, who is 0?
I think. Olamide, let me put a question to you. It's key as far as this game is concerned. Pick your #1 goalkeeper if you're
among the three goalkeepers
we have. I would pick, you know what? I'll pick Felukai because he's experienced. He has played in the CAF Champions League, right? Now he went far with Enyimba. He played in the Confederations Cup. They got to the semi-finals, and he made some vital saves that you'd feel this guy actually deserves an opportunity compared to Anikechukwu Ezenwa, who is bench warming in the same club where that guy is starting. So I would pick an Felukai ahead of Ezenwa and the error-prone Daniel Akpoyi. Trust me.
I think the guy, I had an opportunity to talk to him, and he told me that, you know, when people tend to always capitalize on the mistakes he made, always talking about it, but you know, we have to leave it for the coach to decide. Is the one to actually take the decision. Is the one that has been in camp. Is the one that understands the players. What we want is for the Super Eagles of Nigeria to get a victory against the Bafana of South Africa. Still talking about that game. Cheering news are coming from the executive governor of Delta State in person of Ifeanyi Okowa. He has actually promised the Super Eagles $25,000 for each goal they score against the Bafana of South Africa. What other motivation do you need, from that game, other than for you to just go for the players to go out there and bang in as many goals as possible? But I tell you, it's not always that easy, Dotun.
Well, good one coming from the executive governor of Delta State, coming out to say to the players that actually just get the goals at the back of the net and get yourself $25,000 for each goal. This is good motivation. Like I said in the morning, that we are still going to get some corporate organization and some individuals that will still come to the table with some offers saying that get the goals, get the victory, get the points, and actually get this for yourself and for your family. This is just a very good one, actually trying to encourage the guys go to the field of play, then not just going to the field of play to play for your country and for yourself alone, but go to the field of play and make an additional money. All right,
the coach, Genodro and Ahmed Musa have actually applauded this gesture, and they said this will actually motivate them to score goals against South Africa in Johannesburg.
Well, it's a kind gesture. You can't take anything away from that. Money is the best form of motivation in anything you do. So I think to every good side, for everything, there's always a good and a bad side. Let me take your mind back to 2009 when Nigeria hosted the youth championship here at the Testim Balogun Stadium. Remember, there was some money incentives. You score each goal, you get $5,000
to the goal scorer.
To the goal scorer. This
time around to the team.
Now let's look at this. I'm just trying to make you. I want to refresh your memory. Let me just talk. Remember, I think we ended up scoring just one goal by Sani Emmanuel, but you could see that form of selfishness from the players. And that actually cost them the trophy at the end of the day. I just hope this is not what will happen at the end of this qualifier. But, you know, they are mature players, very experienced players, they played at the top. But I'm still expecting them to come with a win that time.
All right, I think this should motivate the guys to get in as many goals as possible against the Bafana of South Africa. Still talking about the game, the coach of South Africa, Stuart Baxter, has actually said He respects Nigeria, but he does not fear Nigeria, and he hopes to get a decent result against the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
If any manager in the history of our South African football will say this,
Olamide is actually laughing.
You know, if any manager in the history of South African football will say such a thing, it remains basta. Why? In 2004, the first time South Africa got the better of Nigeria in the Mandela Challenge Cup, was the one who was in charge of the team. In the second stint in charge of the team, they started the Nations Cup qualifier. They came to Nigeria in their first game, and they got the better of Nigeria by 2-0. And going to South Africa now, and this guy is actually talking from the wealth of experience he had playing against Nigeria, that I've played against this team, I've actually gotten results. But when it comes to South Africa against Nigeria, it is always Nigeria all the way. It is not always in favor of South Africa, except for recent time in which they had draws against Nigeria, 0-0 draw and 2-2 draw, that actually led to Nigeria now qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2015. So if you still now juggle your memory or fast forward to what we have on ground, he has everything. Actually, he said, if you had a victory against a team the last time you played against them, and you are going into you'll be full of confidence, saying to yourself that so far I can get it done the first time. I can actually take a clip from what happened during the last game and actually fast forward and make sure I defeat the same team. But I don't see this seeing the light of the day, because I can see the Nigerian national team, the Super Eagles, they're actually poised to actually take this and make sure they qualify for the Nations Cup.
Because I see the South Africans, you know, they've dropped form since they secured that win against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They've not really been convincing in their subsequent games. I watched their game against
but sometimes, Kule, let me tell you something, that the result of play does not actually determine the result sometimes doesn't reflect the kind of play we have on the
I think I understand what Dotun is saying. I mean, if you look at, sorry to deviate a bit, if you look at Real Madrid, they had a very poor run of form, and that really transpired in their results. So one way or the other, if a team is not playing well, it will show in the result. They got a draw the last time out against the other guys, the whooping boys in the team, Seychelles. So you can understand exactly what it means by drop of form. But talking about Stuart Baxter, I think the guy has a bragging right. But then if you look at the game against Nigeria that they won here in Nigeria, I think what happened was that Nigeria just underestimated them, and they paid dearly for that. So they won't make that kind of mistake this time around. They know that they have their destiny in their hands. They've not been at the past 2 Nations Cup, and they don't want to make it 3 in a row. So it's going to be poor. So Nigeria will definitely hold Stuart Baxter by his words and saying, hey, we're coming for you. All
right, we're coming for them, and we just hope that the Super Eagles will secure that all-important victory. Even if the victory is not certain, we can actually make do with a draw. The team will be departing the shores of the country tomorrow by 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Of course, they will train at the FMB Stadium, so in Soweto, near Johannesburg on Friday, and on Saturday, the big game will actually go down. We hope the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be the team to celebrate at the end of the game. Let's spice you up with the last game the Super Eagles played against the Libyans. You know, it was a sweet victory for us. We are still, some of us are still basking in the euphoria of those 2 victories we recorded against them. Enjoy the highlight, and Sport Beat will return after.